All right, guys, onward into the exploration of how to broadcast, how to get a word out. I'm going to try to do this on two different venues today. One up there with the camera and one down here. So, welcome. I am going to try to discuss how we're going to salvage America. It looks like I got some differences in my cameras here. Somebody can see my mess on YouTube and you can't see it on Facebook. Have to work with that part. Hey guys, I've been watching some of the things happening in the real world, and I'm a little concerned. It appears like we're going to go ahead and run the country just by signing a bunch of executive orders. They're called EOs. And instead of having the legislative process, just go ahead and change the world based on one 80-year-old man's opinion of what he can do and can't do without using the Supreme Court, the public, voting, legislative process, checks and balances, things like that. This is in this book I'm writing, of course, so this is not real. None of this is really happening in the world out there because I wouldn't let this shit happen. So, what's really different, I haven't done in a while, and maybe it's not going to work. I'm going to actually try to transmit some of this stuff to the public from a little place called Salvage, Texas. Some of you may know where it's at. Hey, good, I got some new people. Or actually, Suzanne, you were here yesterday. Thank you. I'm not expecting a large audience. Most of this is just being done so I can get it out there while I'm still able to. It turns out we're having a little bit of a problem in the world. When I was young, I wanted to write. And I was a poor boy. So after I got out of college, I bought a school bus. I converted it in 1981 and went off to write my great American novel. And then I started studying about getting it published if I were to succeed. You got to go to a publishing company. Cool. Wait a minute. If they don't like your book, they just stick it on the shelf. So they buy the book and you would go ahead and do it all. Oh, good morning, Shelley. And then they go ahead and try to if they don't like it, just don't market it. Well, that's not so bad. I can just go out and sell it myself, right? No. You got to buy the book back. That was the old days. And then I was looking at $30,000, $40,000 to buy a book back that you had them publish. Buy your own rights back to market yourself. And so I decided in my youth and my naivety at 25 years old to go off in a school bus and write the great American novel and go out and market it myself. Boy, was I stupid. Hey, Joy. Oh, Joy, I haven't heard from you in ages. Still driving all bad. Eric, nice to meet you. So I went off on my little excursion, my travel across the country in a school bus from Florida to Alabama. And then in one drive from Alabama in 56 hours, if you can imagine, from Alabama across to Washington, Seattle, Washington. I didn't have any money, and I had credit cards, Shell and Exxon, and I actually arrived in Seattle with $15 cash in my pocket, an Exxon card, a Montgomery Ward's card, and Shell card, credit cards, and they've been paying my gas. And I remember going through Montana. Oh my God, $1.75 for gas was just the most ungodly price. $1981. Now, the difference between $1.75 now and $1.75 in 1981, I'm going to tell you. When you put $100 in the tank back then, well, let's just say I was working for $2 an hour coming out of high school. 1973. I was making $7 an hour, which was not good wages when I came to Texas in 1984. And now we're talking about Americans working for $10 an hour and not getting any overtime like they do over here in the ag places for growing mushrooms and stuff. 60 hours a week in a refrigerator, no overtime. $10 an hour. Overtime exempt industries. Why ship jobs overseas when you can have the people here work for slave wages, right? And that's a problem. Joy, these days in driving, I hear it is not a good place to be if you're paying If you're on a company time, you're under a camera all the time. They pretty much run your life. It's like being in a cell and working on the road. The trucking industry has changed dramatically, folks. I highly respect the truckers. If it weren't for them being out there right now, none of you'd have food. All those little children who think that eggs sprout out of egg cartons at the store. No, we got chickens someplace. They're being raised, and somebody's hauling around. I guarantee you it's a trucker. And if they get COVID, you ain't getting your food. But they're out there. I'm having a little trouble these days with, I don't want to go to work. I might risk my life. Teachers. If truckers said that, teachers wouldn't get their food. If truckers said that, you wouldn't have medicine. You wouldn't have a whole bunch of things, including troops, by the way, over probably at the Capitol. Somebody's driving those buses. Somebody's, and by the way, buses are trucking people. When you get over the road, you go on Greyhound or something like that, you're trucking people. You're just different cargo. It's still trucking. So anyway, I'm sorry, Joy, I got off track. My point is this, though, and actually is very important. It is very extremely pertinent, actually, is because right now, who wants to truck into an area where you might get your tires slashed, you might go ahead and get your windows busted out, and you're going to go deliver food for 50 cents a mile, and that's maybe 8 miles into that zone and back out again. 8 miles, and you'll get paid $8 or $10 for those miles, because they're all averaged out to all those miles you spent on the highway. And you're putting on masks, and you're putting on 2 masks, and whoever's around is making you do whatever, so you can go ahead and just deliver your load and get the heck out of Dodge. Man. So what happens here? I have some notes, actually. Believe it or not, notes. Today is fresh. It's about change. Everything's changing, and it's changing fast. And I've said for a long time, none of this is stuff that I haven't tried to teach everybody in my own little way and say, hey, we're going to be downsizing. Hey, I'm just a young boy. This is great. I put this on you so you think I'm old and wise. Isn't that cool? I'm just 30 years old, actually. Uh-oh. Live stream is on chat. Oh, no. I didn't mean to do live stream on chat. I didn't know you could do it on chat. Well, heck, I better get off. Guys, I'm going to have to leave this one. Let me see. Maybe it's over on that other one. Oh, live stream over there. On YouTube or over here? 5 hours. Okay. Let me see. Okay. That means no swearing. I can do that. You know what? My thing is this, I guess. Okay. I appreciate you saying that, because I might have let some things slip out. YouTube, okay. So, over here on YouTube, so I don't get busted over there for saying stuff I shouldn't say. Thank you. Thank you so much about that little update. You can tell my tech guy behind the trees. He's supposed to be taking care of that. No, I'm not doing chat on that one. I can't watch all these monitors at once. Somebody says there's people who are supposed to help. Moderators. There's a moderator here too. He's sitting behind me, keeps looking over my shoulder. Yes, fast changes, absolutely. So what's happening, guys, is that's why I'm on here. Normally I wouldn't stick my head out here and bother with getting shot at so much. I've been making tiny houses for a while. Oh, I got paint all over my fingers, by the way. That's paint. From having done that thing I did yesterday, making that top for that post for that canyon. Things are changing fast. Normally you'd have to go through months and months and months of bickering and mass media convincing you let our president do this or do that. Fact check the hell out of it. But in this new fantasy world I write about, the Darby's in, the one that Wibblery and Wub is all about. Again, we're talking about Wub, a world union of beings. Beings includes dogs, cats, dolphins, gorillas, monkeys, sentient beings. You just don't go out and kick your dog or put him in a fight just to watch him bleed. Or for that matter, fighting cocks and all that other stuff. Why do people do things that make them feel better and yet somebody else has got to feel pain? Somebody else got to suffer. You don't think that happens? Believe me. So why is it so hard to think there's human trafficking for so many Americans? Because they don't want to think that. You know, we've done more to stop human trafficking and babies being abused in the last 4 years than I hope would happen in my entire rest of my life. One of my childhood heroes. I was reading comic books while I was blind. I was nearsighted for many years. I was blind until I got my cataracts. One of those things I did with technology while I was, still here after they finally got it relatively perfected. Why? Because you see with your eyes. But if the mind doesn't see, your mind as well be blind. You see with your ears, actually. What does see mean to you? To identify, to discriminate amongst all the waveforms coming in electrically transmitted through chemical reactions between your eye and the retina in the back that's reversing it and twisting around and giving you something to be under the impression that you're actually seeing a person in front of you right now instead of just max headroom in disguise. Yeah, that's the other screen, by the way. It looks like I got somebody else in here with me. And I do. There's 3 of us right now. I got this one over here, and I got this one up here. Now, okay, with this in mind, with children and stuff like that available to see and listen to this, let's make this and tailor this to the juvenile, politely crowd. Nobody should be able to chat on a child when I don't think, because what that does is I think that opens the door up for trolls. Trolls. What are trolls, by the way? In many cases, those are people hired. Okay, real quick. Let's stay happy. I need to stay happy. Best way in the world is not by accumulating things. I can assure you that. It's by going ahead and helping other people accumulate what they need to be comfortable enough to go ahead and live life, to be something special, to go ahead and make life better for the next person or 2 or 3 or 4. Like if you got 4 kids, you better be making it better for at least 4. Some of the changes, it's always an illusion of what is a change and what's going to be implemented and how we're going to pay for things. Dependency on the government for a currency every month to survive has its merits until all of a sudden people don't do anything to get the money, don't contribute to society, and only expect to be given more and more, except who's putting the money in? Where's it come from? Where's this product come from? You just print it up? Well, when I was young, I was poor. I had great occasions when we got our grades. We got a bonus for good grades in my family. We had an allowance, 25 cents. Why 25 cents? Well, it cost 25 cents to get to the theater on Saturday in those days. You got popcorn in the entrance to the theater for 25 cents. So if I worked all week and carried out the trash and washed dishes and did what I was supposed to, I got my 25 cents. I also got to go to the firing range below the theater and shoot 50 rounds on a .22 rifle that was just like, almost exactly like, but a smaller caliber than the one that Oswald used when he shot our dear president, supposedly, from that window up there all by his itty-bitty self. Supposedly. People should use more of their brains. They should use more of their independence. They should become more. Some people need to be kicked in the butt to become active. So sometimes you need, what's it called? Adversity is the mother of invention. Why? Because all of a sudden you need to get out there and say, wait a minute, they're going to throw away that house. Mom needs a house. My son needs a house. 52% of the countries moved back home. Are these good times? You know, in the Depression, 48% of the kids moved back home. Big houses became apartments. We take people in to pay for what we got. Land is great until you have to pay the taxes on it. Trust me. So what happens? Big houses get carved up into apartments. I've rehabbed. Heck, I've torn them down. I've rehabbed them in Austin in the old days. So here's what's happening now. Same thing. But who do you want for your roommate? Who do you want in your house? Are they smokers? Are they singing? Are they having music going on? Are they bringing friends over? Who's in that bedroom? What are they doing? How they should be? All these things come into play. Now, tiny houses, you have one little house where you get together, you eat, you congregate, you commune. Now, these are some of the things I want to talk about. Community. What is community? It's communing together under unified cause. Commune, unity, community. These are important things to know, because what happens is people get into these cults, these religions. And the cult, okay, so we're all, say, Christians or Muslims or Chinese, or they're cultures. Culture is a mature cult. A cult is a group of morals and ethics that we all agree are workable, and we share a living area like Salvage, Texas or someplace else, with a culture based on honor, say, truth. You pick out these things that you want to unify under, these nebulous sort of words that, what are they defined as, or by whom? And that's where our problem comes in. By whom? It's a nebulous sort of world when you start changing the definitions. This is what's called Orwellian definition change. What's happening? So, no one person can save humanity. I'm not going to be the guy, and I don't want to be the guy, and don't come shooting at me. It's a fantasy I'm talking about, a fantasy world where I'm kind of giving you the overview of what happened in this fantasy world in the future. All names and references that might sound similar are just absolutely made up, just happen to coincidentally match. Just like words we use now. Like, to discriminate, again, means to be able to form a judgment, which is good, which is bad. Now, all of a sudden, in this day and age, now, being judgmental, being able to judge what's right and wrong, based on experience, or perhaps experience and knowledge, which makes equivalent of wisdom. If you have an opinion, I've accumulated a couple of those, and a belief system, and you're willing to go ahead and speak out, which I'm doing now, and I've done in the past, but never so much as now. Hey, Tim, so nice to hear you. I know, most people hear cult and think evil, and that's the game of it all. What is culture? Are you part of a culture? Do you consider yourself part of the American culture, the Israeli culture, the Middle East culture, Asian culture? You see, we actually used the word culture in the old days frequently. And we used it because it meant something different. And it still does. But again, if you distort the language by changing the meaning of a word, let's just say, for example, what is a conspiracy theorist? When I came back from Germany and I heard that President Kennedy had been shot by a bullet out of a gun, a rifle, just like the one I shot, and bolt action, ching, 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 boom, boom, boom. But the holes didn't match up. Too many holes for one bullet. Too many people hit for a bullet, or two bullets, or three bullets at a distance like that. And I knew that. I was a stupid kid, but 13 years old, having an expert marksman, medals, and stuff like that for shooting before theaters. Didn't take me long to go and figure out that somebody's bullshit. Shooting at bulls with, man, I need to go ahead and get rid of YouTube, because I may have trouble keeping my good words and bad words separated sometimes. I don't even notice some of the words they might think are bad. The truth is, we got to talk to our kids. We got to talk to our kids about how do you go ahead and have life skills instead of college degrees that you can't do anything with except wait tables. Okay. This has been a test, guys. I'm going to have to go ahead and kill one of these live streams. We got a problem. I don't want everybody to go to war, kids. This is the issue. If I make this for kids, that means under 18. Well, you know what? There's a whole bunch of kids between 12 and 18 that need to hear some of this. So I'm going to take a chance and try to go ahead and talk about some of it and keep tame my words. Again, when you battle for good or evil, define it. What culture are you in? Oh, I'm in a culture in Afghanistan where it's okay for warlords to have little boys as a means of satisfying their needs. When our soldiers saw that, they just absolutely tore up some guys. Well, those guys were warlords, and our government said, you can't do that. That's their culture. Oh. when we went into Afghanistan, the Taliban had stopped the growing of poppies and stuff because they didn't believe in having people addicted and shipping drugs out of the country as an industry. And so they shut down the poppy fields. Bush's, Clintons, man, it just doesn't work. If you've been shipping in that stuff since Reagan days when Bush was doing it and had to cover it up with Ollie, and then blow up an airplane coming back with evidence that we blamed on Libya and all those little things in this little book I'm writing. It's all totally fiction, of course. It didn't really happen. It's just about the story of how Darby grew up in this strange little fantasy world. I say fantasy because, of course, no, that was real. It's all just the conspiracies, right? The conspiracy nut thing, remember? That was a conspiracy nut thing. It was created under the auspices that you could go ahead and tag somebody, kids. I want you to know that. If somebody said, hey, you're a conspiracy nut. I was 13, 14, 15, 16, all the rest of my life. Whenever you say that some people might have got together and planned something, that's a conspiracy. And it was planned together. And that when it actually happens and there's proof, you can call that a conspiracy and prosecute it in court and call it sedition, treason, and a number of other things when people conspire together to plan, say, a raid on a very important institution. And in the book, that happens in a nightmare. Darby has this nightmare, and it's a crazy, crazy nightmare. Darby has a lot of nightmares. So kids, don't think you're the only ones. Darby, when he was young, thought about committing suicide. He was so just distraught. How could the world be that bad? How could he be treated that bad? And he failed. He couldn't hang himself. The rope stretched. There's all sorts of things that stop you from doing what you want to do sometimes for your own betterment. Change your course. Wake you up. I'm not looking at you out here on YouTube. I'm sorry. I'm talking over here to this other camera. I'll go ahead and record this later and switch it over. The point is this, kids. When you're 15 years old, like my son was, and you want to start being part of the game that you're going to inherit, having a voice in what's going to happen. Well, kids, yeah, out in that world out there where it's now open to kids, and I'll probably get in trouble because I'm talking the truth. Did you know more millionaires are made out of salvage and salvage building, salvage mining than any other industry in the entire country? So kids, you can come out of school at 18 years old and get salvage and build yourself a tiny house like I built without having any college experience. If you want to make a business out of it, you can take a couple of business courses. You can take a couple of accounting courses if you have it in high school already. And this can be done in high school. You can get out of high school and run a business, a good business. Tearing down houses, making chicken coops, making dog houses, making all sorts of things. Tim's a good example. In spite of having broken his back, he managed to go ahead and be like myself, a poor kid that worked his way up, got a bunch of assets, and then, oh man, Mother Nature and life just changes sometimes. You get sick. You get hurt, you get crippled. The point is, do you keep going? That's what separates the ones who get to the finish line from the ones who just fall out. Take drugs. Take antidepressants because they can't handle it. They can't go out and change their life and make it better. They got to go ahead and try to mask it. Now I can deal with it. A little more. Now I got it. Okay, now, I got to take a drink. Uh-oh. Why? To mask the past. Okay, so there doesn't have to be war. There doesn't have to be attacking each other. There doesn't have to be hate within our own country. Now, this little short book of Wibblery and Wub is about this little set of words, Wibblery. We, W-I-I, all the I's, you, me, and everybody else, I's, all of us I's together. If all of us I's together form what we need to do, we can actually solve this stuff. The we, W-I-I, not W-E, where we are one group and you, the other group, or they, the other group, that we're going to go ahead and beat up, attack, and take out because we want it our way. That's the W-E of it. And right now, we got we, W-I-I, all beings on the planet. This isn't just talking about Americans, guys, kids. This is talking about your future and everybody else, all the kids on the planet. We have a chance to join together to form a world union of believers in a system that doesn't take in and exclude you because you are of a religion or of a faith or of a practice of how you eat, vegetarian, or if you, whatever you do, if it's peaceful, if it doesn't interfere with the next person, I don't have the right to stop you by shooting you, killing you, or taking out your life. So you could build a life out of salvage. You could build in villages. You could actually get off the grid and not have to go out there and have the great big house and the great big super expensive car and all the debt and everything, so that if somebody you're depending on, including your employer, suddenly says, oh, get out of here, we don't need you anymore, suddenly you're broke. You got to change. Shelley, that's great. Even there's so many people that have been salvaging all their lives, especially people that were poor, people that could use it for art, people could use it for creating things. But in the old days, everybody salvaged. And in other countries, my goodness, our landfills would be a gold mine in most countries, because they would be in there mining, literally salvage mining, all of that out of there. And you'd be amazed how much gold is in there, but silver. I used to dig in dumpsters. I used to dig in landfills. I dig in landfills when I was 12 years old. Actually, yuck. It was for a tannery in Whitehall, Michigan. You guys up there know that tannery. And then paper mill. Oh, yeah. I used to dig around the paper mill. I'd get around through the fences and go in there and look for stuff that I could take away, because I was a poor kid. And we built everything, bicycles, anything we could out of the trash we could find. Kids would make fun of my stuff, but you know what? I had a bicycle. It looked weird, but I had bicycles. I'd break them up, jump on them and stuff like that, and go out and get another bike and put a tricycle tire on the front of it, make a cool bicycle. Back in the old days, I was a geek. You know, any of you kids out there, if you're geeks, don't worry about the beating you're taking. You can do something later on. Just stick it out. Prove yourself by your deeds. Believe in yourself. Don't let anybody knock you down. Don't let anybody make you believe you can't become something. What is it you want to be? I'm going to go ahead and get off and say this. We're in changing times. We've got to be ready to change. Prepare. Prepare to light your fire, that internal passion. Prepare to be positive, be truthful, and share it. Because if you aren't truthful, you can't have love, you can't have people, community. If your culture isn't based on love for one another and helping each other, you all get locked into a space together, you're going to eat each other. That's why I wouldn't want to be underground with all those people that supposed to have a bunch of money and have underground bunkers, because you know what? I don't think I want them in charge of my life. Logan's Run. You get 30 years. What do you mean I get 30 years? Kids, if you haven't watched Logan's Run, watch it. It's a really good movie about what happens if you get locked down below and can't get out. Zardoz, an old classic, about how the elite might just drop weapons down and have one group kill another group, so that way they'll never figure out that they're being run by another group. That was a Sean Connery film. I highly recommend it. It was hilarious in this day and age of special effects. But in its day, it was a statement by him that everybody should listen to and understand. We're there. The elite in that movie are the ones behind that protective bubble. Right now, it doesn't look so like a bubble. It looks like a big old fence with wire on top and a bunch of soldiers outside. But that's the same as in the movie Zardoz. Z-A-R-D-O-Z. Yes. Classics of the old days. Predicting the future. 1984 is here. Yeah, in the 70s, yeah, they'd let you in, Sydney. Back in those days, you could go into a dump, take your shit you're going to drop, your things you're going to drop off. Oh, my goodness. I got to say goodbye on this other one. Thank you, guys. I got to end this. I can't seem to control my mouth. And live stream. All right. Uh-oh. I got to do it the other way. I forget. Okay. Anyway, guys, some of you may know this already, but I built an empire out of salvage. I showed people how to make houses It will no longer be live. Okay, end it. There we go. End it. All right. Grandfather, yeah. And Tim's is a good example when he talks about that, what his grandfather gave him for even asking him questions and getting him to try to think about the philosophy of life early in life, such that the ones in the middle, which would be his parents, and how messed up they might have gotten. Selling Green and Hunger Games resonate with me. They should, Betty. They should, because they're real. People misinterpret time, the lives we have, and the physicality versus the spiritual reality. That this is happening in a lot of different places around the universe. There's a lot of different examples of it, and we know kind of where it'll go if we don't step in. That's why they have prophecy. That's why they have all this great stuff to let us know ahead of time what's coming. It's like a big clock going around in a circle. The Yugas, Aztecs, whatever you want to call it. The planets' alignment, like they're doing behind us and in front of us, causing the poles. Is the gas giants on one side of his pole and on the sun poles, and there's things that are going to change. You ain't stopping it. Nobody's stopping it. But along the way, they want to control it. Hunger Games, absolutely. Soylent Green, when I was 15 years old, I got to go to a vision of a funeral parlor with plexiglass coffin comes around the front with a body in it, and everybody observing it, and the curtains close, and it proceeded around in a circle like a carousel. And then it went to the next one, and it shot this gas in there, sort of a green iridescent gas. And then it kind of went to the next slot, and it instantly plugged in, like it shot some voltage and a ultra low frequency through it, turned it to gel. Yeah, we can do that now. Isn't that great? You can literally liquefy a human body with enough frequency and a catalyst. And then it went out of the next one, and it sucked it out, filtered it, and flushed out that little sarcophagus, clear as it was, with no remnants of any human or anything else in it. And then it went to the next one, and it opened up and dropped another human in it. And then it looked all really nice and pretty, and then it went around, and the curtain opened up, and there was a bunch of people looking at it again. That wouldn't be so crazy, but it's what happened as you followed where those tubes went. And as I went and followed them out of there and through the little pump system and the filtration system, and then finally got to the point where they were pushed back into making that pink slime or green slime, and then shaping it and sending it back out into the food line, of course, with some preparation and flavoring and seasoning. And I was 15 years old. That would put it in about 1960s. Wow. What a great thing to put a patent on, huh? I thought about that when I saw my son on this stage-like environment before they cremated him. We didn't have an open casket. But in my head, I just perceived how sad it is. Throughout history, Hansel and Gretel. It wasn't no joke, kids. The little old lady in the forest was eating little children to survive. If you read the stories, the diaries of the times, people ate their own children. One woman went crazy when her 5-year-old child was eaten by the husband in hunger. Orphans everywhere. Be prepared, folks, for this food shortage and housing shortage coming ahead. This is as far as I'm probably going to get today, but I'm going to recommend some people to pay attention to and learn from. If you haven't, very important. Okay, this is very important. Right now, please. Oh, these newer drinks. Joy, they're making this, preparing everybody. Yeah, it's being prepared to eat things that are made out of whatever. It doesn't matter as long as you're not sick. Because they can put all sorts of stuff in your food, and you're so desperate you'll eat it. Please, understand now. Learn to eat less. Get healthier. Make that machine, that vessel, honor it like you're told to. Honor thy vessel. Serious stuff ahead, guys. You don't think all this snow is going to go ahead and lead to great things, is it? I mean, lots of things sprouting in the spring, all the cherries and no. All this is going to melt, make flooding again. Worse, the storms are going to get worse. They're not going to get better. Just I want to tell you this right now. We got volcanoes going off. We got a whole bunch of stuff happening. Please watch online while you can, YouTube. Adapt 2030. Excellent young man. He's been on this, studying this for years. I've been watching him, listening to him. Suspicious observers. Ben and his wife and their children are trying to go ahead and create a village out there of like-minded people that are aware of what's coming. A campground where you can learn about solar physics, basically. Please pay attention to him. Ice Age Farmer. Another great kid. I mean, I would be proud of them to be my sons, any of them. My son would be about 34. Why am I against abortion? Because every one of these boys went through hell to get to where they are, just like I did. Why? Because we picked this life. We picked the traumas. We picked that so we'd be ready for this. This is what we came for. How do we help you help yourself? How do we empower you? How do we make it available to you to make a difference for others? I can't be your Superman. I can be there online now. I can come there and inspect. I can help you sell stuff, make stuff, put things together, tear them apart. Yeah, Soylent Green. Folks, what that means is we have a big mixing pot. We put everything in that you might eat, and there's no telling what's in there. I already don't know. Most people have no clue what's in their food. I want to tell you something. You better figure it out. You don't want to depend on unscrupulous entities like China was doing when putting antifreeze in there as a sweetener. You know, antifreeze is a great sweetener for a short period of time while you're still alive. Yeah, it's sweet. If you want to kill rats, use antifreeze and mix it into some food, and they'll go ahead and eat it and kill themselves. Don't worry, Betty. When I'm typing with my big-ass fingers on this... Oh, yeah, good. Kids are gone. I make a lot of mistakes. So, the YouTube channel, if you ever want to visit it, there's quite a bit of stuff. There's one channel under Tiny Texas Houses. There's another channel under Brad Cattell, that guy that I'm the ghostwriter for, Darby. That's me you're listening to, talking about that guy who left us Salvage Texas and tons of stuff to build houses out of. He's a good guy. But it's there's another channel out there, Wibblery and Wub, which nobody ever goes to. I think it has one subscriber, and I haven't paid much attention to it, but I'm about to go ahead and put some stuff on it because I'm talking about it, and I got to write it out. I got to put stuff down there for us. I even had some notes. I haven't followed them with the dang. But it was, you're like, honor thy vessel. Learn what you're eating. Take care of yourself. Exercise. Quit eating so darn much. Get used to not eating so much. Get healthier. It takes your body a whole bunch of energy to go ahead and burn that stuff up. We got to get our money figured out or barter what you're worth. What is, how you going to convert all those assets you got? You going to jump and throw all your collection of Beanie Babies in the back seat and go sell them on the corner? No. So we got to go ahead and figure out how we're going to convert all of our great collections, because trust me, man, my generation's got more great collections of things nobody needs. My hand's up. I'm talking about me, so nobody get mad. Because I got 1,000 doorknobs. I'm telling you what, I got better doorknobs than anybody else. No, not quite. I've actually seen the old timers who got the really best collections. But I got some really nice doorknobs. I got some really nice plates. I got all sorts of really nice things. The problem is, what do you do with all that good stuff? You're going to throw it in your car and take it with you one day? When? Where? Who wants you to bring all their crap to their house? How big is their house? How are you going to afford the taxes on the house to go ahead and keep your stuff? Storage space is expensive. Okay? And so what's happening is, if people go ahead and take the stuff they don't need and sell it, get rid of it, and downsize. Well, there's buyers out there, then you might have a chance of liquidating. But if you don't do it while you got buyers out there, then you ain't got no chance of liquidating. And if you don't have any chance of liquidating, then all your assets become worth less. What is worth less? That means when you try to cash them in, you say, hey, man, give me a hamburger for this gold. Okay, we might do that. Hey, give me a hamburger for this radiator. No, thanks. Give me a hamburger for this Beanie Baby. Get the heck out of here, dude. Where did you get these Beanie Babies from? What the hell are you talking? So I use that as a measuring device because when I used to have an antique store, it was so funny to go into antique stores when I was looking to buy stuff from other people and seeing Beanie Babies in an antique store. Like, if it's not older than me, it's not an antique, by the way. Record albums, man. Oh, God, I had some nice record albums. And if you have something to play them on, they're really good and actually coming back in style. Vinyl is coming back. I've got some 45 players, record players, and I've got some old ones still in stock. Vinyl at one time, believe it or not, it's not the record, it's the cover. That's a great value. There's an old saying in salvage. It's not what you have, it's knowing the value of what you have. How do you pull the one out of a dozen that's going to be worth something? The American Pie, first album they put out, had an American Pie, but the problem is the slice of the pie looked like a vagina. That's a very valuable album cover. You could have a scratched up album in it, but the album cover, because they had to retract it. Imagine that. Same thing with all the other things. So what we want to do is how do we convert that? We have markets. Who's going to buy it? The kids, they don't care. They want to go to a big box store. They want to go over to buy something shipped in from other countries full of formaldehyde. We get sick going in the store smelling it. Because it's new. Even in Europe, they want new. Audrey, you can get in touch with us. I don't build a house for anybody anymore. That was the old days when I was in my 50s. Now I try to encourage people to build. I'm trying to get people to start building. I mean, owner finance, the materials, 0% interest, 5 years. There's all sorts of things I'm trying to do. But I will say this. Sometimes people expect me to do more than I can do for them. I can only help. I can inspire. I can motivate. I can't put you all on my back and carry you. I want people to go ahead and get the idea that each of us has to learn to be independent. It's one of the important things today. Part of preparation is what happens if the people you depend on disappear? Can you survive alone? Are you set up so you can go ahead and make it? And if you could, if you had it all in your house, can you defend it if everybody else wants to come and take it? So you better be in a group. And if you're in a group, you're in a group of people you want to be with in the event that shit hits the fan. Yeah, I'm 65 now. Never felt younger. Never been healthier. And with my broken back, I challenge kids all the time to just 3 simple things. Bend over, kiss your kneecaps, but don't bend your knees. Do a push-up with 1 foot at each end. So when you go ahead and push down, you go ahead and kiss your kneecap or your shin. I like that one. And then the other one is called a Chinese plank push-up on your fingertips. You lay on your belly, put your fingertips on the ground, put your toes on the ground, and stand up without anything touching but that. Yeah. It's a good trick. I like it. I keep challenging everybody that comes along, especially kids my son's age. I love it. It's so funny. None of us are in good shape anymore. If it goes out there, you're headed my way. I hope so, Betty, but you better get here ahead of time because people got to help make those spaces available. Last thing I want is a bunch of crazy people showing up, and I got to have some way of sorting them out ahead of time. Otherwise, you ain't getting in my front gate. Sorry. I'm a nice guy, except for crazy people. And how did I tell the difference? It was harder in the old days. Then they all came. 300 people later, it's easier. You can spot crazy people real fast. You can see where they answer, how they answer, where their eyes go. Those mean something. Do you know that when you look a certain way and somebody knows how to read it, they can tell if you're going into your memory bank or if you're going into lying or creating an answer that isn't true? If you know how an eye moves and where it moves and what it means by asking a few questions, you can actually tell if somebody's lying to you or telling you the truth. Yeah, it's cool. CIA uses it. I highly recommend everybody, please go educate yourselves. Prepare. Times are changing. Are you prepared? Can you walk out the door and survive, or do you need to have somebody come with you and hold your ass up? If you do, you're in trouble. Because there are not going to be many people hanging back to hold people up when the tanks are rolling through, when there's no food. Actually, when there's no food, somebody's going to hold you up on a spit. Cannibalism gets really popular in those times. Hey guys, with that wonderful parting thought, I'm going to get my butt on the road here and try to accomplish something outside today. I hope you do too. Don't sit inside. Don't stay covered up watching TV and hoping the world's going to get better. And guess what? We are the legion of light that must shine at this moment, that must light up. Weren't you inflamed by having something happen like we just saw happen, folks? Those that follow my little book, my little fantasy about a world union of beings who might go out there and join together and independent of each other, yeah, I might make a difference. Hey, by the way, you kids out there that went and took GameStop up and took and beat some people over the head with their own bat, congratulations. I don't have any stock because I got my butt whipped several times by those guys changing roles on me. I mean, I actually owned CompUSA right before they dissolved it in less than 30 days, once upon a time. And my stockbroker advised me not to buy eBay stock. Keep that CompUSA stock. I did. Yeah, I did. I lost $25,000 overnight out of the $50,000 I had invested. And by the time I got out of there, dang, I wasn't going to invest it in eBay, which I would have been millions of dollars ahead. What happens is when people rip you off, they destroy your trust. And if you know that somebody in there can change the game, change the rules, take your money, and nobody can do anything to them about it, and they got so many millions of dollars that just kind of like bend over and kiss your butt goodbye because it's all you can do. I don't like that kind of game. Now, you want to get into another game, salvage, and have wood quintuple in value in 1 year, I can help you out. So, please, pass it on. Check it out. Invest in food up to a point. You can only carry so much food. You don't carry so much ammo. And what are you going to do? Live there by yourself? Run down the road with a bunch of ammo. Oh, I need some food. Oh, shit, I left the food there. Why? Because I had to carry 75 pounds of ammo, 4 weapons, my army knife. Oh, my God. Being realistic, folks. If you're not in a community that you can depend on somebody covering your back, you can't stay awake 24 hours a day. You can't eat ammo. You can't eat gold, carrying both with you. You expose yourself and show a Cougaran in a world of broke people, and your life is toast. If you got one, you got more. So, invest in yourself first, your family. Pick a path. No more time for screwing off and thinking the government's going to come save you, because right now the government's just a wee bit messed up and they can't even save themselves. They got so many guards over there in the Capitol because they don't think we like what they're doing. They don't think we want to be controlled without any legislature, without any checks and balances, without a Supreme Court, or without any court system. I can't imagine. In this fantasy world that I'm writing about, that Darby is in, where there's wibblery and wub and this sort of unity coming around to say we want peace, not war. In that world, that's a crazy thing, and I'm trying to describe it all in such a way that people will be able to understand it. Years ago, I had a cartoon I drew. I'll put it up here at some point. I'll find it. Darby was having a nightmare. He was sitting in a chair. He was asleep. And Rubbles, that's the avatar earthworm with a little blue English racing cap and wireframe glasses. And he comes to Darby in this nightmare. And the nightmare's, Darby's getting this little utopian community all put together. He's worked his life and all these people joining together to try to show that we can make this happen. And you can see the world in his dream, and it's starting to crack up, and the volcanoes are popping, and earthquakes are going off, and the rockets are in the air, and it's part of the cartoon. You see them going off, and it's like, but do we have time? Does it make any sense? And Darby's having this nightmare. He's like, what? Oh my God. We almost did it. We almost had this utopian community. That was one of the nightmares that Rubbles gave Darby when he was young. One of the things that scared him, made him think he'd never be able to accomplish what he had to do, to get a word out around the world at the right time. A word of hope. Communication. About wibbling, mind to mind. About webbling, getting on the web and communicating. About wibbleizing, creating things that get through the system. Viruses of sorts. Art. Words. Music. How do we communicate? During the War of Vietnam, peace got through thanks to the Beatles, who paid a dear price for it. All we need is love. Be an artist. And then, of course, wobbling. And wobbling is loving somebody through touch, caressing, hugging, kissing, sharing, loving. Not in the nasty sense, not in the trafficking sense, human trafficking, wobbling, using me, my body, to go ahead and satisfy your needs. That is not wobbling, guys. When you establish something like wedlock, it's not wedlock, a contract on earth. Wedlock is establishing a bond between two spirits, beings, a bond of love, a bond of trust. Wub, energy of soul bonding together, life on life on life. We get to live over and over again, whether it's in heaven, if you want to call it that, although heaven on earth is one of our ways of viewing life. And I believe in more than one. It doesn't just end here, guys. So we establish this bond, and we meet up again in the next life, and wow, look at that. And that's because sometime in the past, if we had to defend each other back to back, we had total trust. The only way I'm going down is if you went down already. So guess what, guys? Those of you who feel that light inside, igniting, that passion, light some other candles around you. Let's get it going. We're going to have us a big old bonfire of human energy going in positive directions to create a world union of beings that all want to see the same thing happen. Prosper, thrive, respect the past. Understand, we're not the only ones here. Disclosure, it's coming. Salvage, Texas, embassy to the galaxy. We come in peace. A place to meet, a place to share. And in my fantasy, manifested. A book coming to life in the form of Salvage, Texas. Tiny Texas houses. And finally, Darby grew up, like he said. It's time to write. It's time to shine. Welcome to my world.